lust, revenge, alone, heartbreak. These 5 words describe all of these games on screen. These 5 words also describe the most disturbing games on Roblox, starting off with Online is a horror game about the dangers of what can and cannot be online. And the basic game goes as is a capture the flag game, and you have to deliver these flags because it's capture the flag. And in the middle of the game, once you get the second flag, the alleged developer joins the game and will say, "Do not return that flag." And if you do return the second flag, that means you'll have 1 flag left to grab. If you grab that last flag, a random entity will come chasing you, and then once jump scaring you, kicking you from the game, showing how dangerous being in a game with no players can really, really be. This entity is unnamed at the moment. More info about the game has been discovered, and at the moment it believes to be have taken down off of Roblox, as the original game cannot be found to my knowledge, based on me looking. However, this game does inevitably show what a game with no players can truly be. However, the first ever type, the original game, had about 554 million visits and about 100,000 online. However, that original game at the moment I think has been taken down. But now we're moving on to our next game, which is Serverance is a game at the moment with no concurrent players, as I said the last game, with no players online. However, let's just move on back to the Serverance. The Serverance starts off with you waking up and going through your daily routine. However, on the first day, you see this photo with a crossed out name and picnic. Yet, however, you keep looking through, you keep doing stuff, you keep repeating your day, and you keep having these nightmares every night until one night you wake up and you look at your reflection just to see you as a corrupted self. You eventually go back and you see the girl from the picture with the crossed out name on the picnic. And then you go into another room on the final day. You go into a room and you see a different lady, and you're like, all right, let's go back to reality. So you decide to go to bed with her, but turns out that is a corrupted lady. And I know all of that might say like, wait, how is this about denial? Well, let me get into the final parts about this game. First off, in the game, the first lady you see from the picture is actually your ex, your wife, I think either your girlfriend or your wife, who you either broke up with or divorced. So now you have to move on from her. However, it just got too much to you, and you ended up kidnapping someone in order to replace her, which shows that you're in so much denial that you are left with one last choice, and that's by taking someone from their own place, by kidnapping them and trying to replace your other lover. That game is very, very weird. It is still on Roblox to this day. But now we're on to a game that doesn't really get talked about as much today. And this is Egg Kevin's House. Is about a game where you and your friend, I believe the name of Joey, go to egg someone's house after a terrible Halloween. You end up throwing all the eggs, but then on the last egg, Joey would end up knocking over a candle and burning down Kevin's house. When Kevin gets home, he says, "No, mother," which leads us to assume that his mother was inside the house at the time. Fast forward 20 years later, you and Joey and this friend, I believe the name of Stanley, go to the house. And on a couple of days later, to film a YouTube video, Stanley goes missing inside the house and eventually flies over both of your heads. And on the final day, Kevin ends up kidnapping you, trying to kill you the same way that you killed his mom. Many different endings to this game. You can save Joey, you can't. It's a whole enchilada. But this game is about revenge because you killed his mom and now he's trying to kill you in the same fashion. But now we're on to another game about heartbreak, and that is So Let Him Go is a game about where you and your friend end up not really like breaking up with each other, but your friend gets a little bit annoyed of you and decides to push you away. And every night you start to have a bad dream, and everybody's kind of mean to you besides the lime girl at the lemonade stand. But this is all after he allegedly breaks your heart. But, like, it's not really that, but it's just, like, a friendship kind of blowing up. And the more that goes on, and on the final day, you end up running into traffic and dying. You thought that game was crazy enough. Let me introduce you to our last game, which falls under the word lust, and that game is... My Eyes Deceive is the most disturbing game on this whole list, so if I were to explain it in the whole terms, I might get some bad punishments on my channel, but I'm going to go over this pretty quick. So you play as this little girl who is in a basement because there's a pandemic going around. And your alleged dad, you got to go talk to him every day. It's a new routine and something. Take your antibiotics because of the disease. Talk with your dad. Play on your little iPad. Write in your journal. But on about like day 4, you get a decision between stop taking the antibiotics and taking them still. The good ending is you stop taking them, and your dad gets arrested because he's not actually your dad, and he kidnapped you and locked you in your basement. So he gets arrested, and you get to see outside for the first time in a while. The bad ending is you keep taking the antibiotics, and this is the disturbing part. Let's just say that your dad does it with you at night, because the antibiotics is actually Benadryl, which for the people who don't know is a sleeping medicine. So after all of that, the crazy part is that he ends up I'm not going to go over that, but the whole point of this game is that it's based off a true story. However, it has been taken off of Roblox because it is a web game. You can search up on the web. I think it's on myeyesdeceive.com. But so that's going to do it for today's video. I spent a long time on this, so I would really appreciate it if you at least like the video. You can subscribe if you want. I honestly don't care. I'm just here to entertain you people, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.